Is Hulbert still awake down there?
Hey.
It may be on his end.
He's on the bottom of the blind.
Has he got shells in his gun?
Yeah. Somebody flared him. I think it was the guy without the camo hat. It's always the guide should have taken control.
Where did that
a little
hat come
sooner.
from?
Yeah, that's an Iowa golden eye hat.
Yeah, well, we're not in Iowa. We're not hunting golden eyes, pal.
Hey,
Well, if I take it off, it's gray too.
yeah, already scared.
Well, at least you got something there.
Well, hey, back to the campaign. I know that John Childs is sorry he couldn't be with us today, but we're going to get a full report on the campaign tomorrow, and it sounds like good news, guys.
Sure does.
Talking about reports and news, I'd like to hear, how about a duck report, Don? What's going on in the prairies?
Well, we're having a great year in the prairies, and I happen to bring along a digital camera, some photos and stuff we took last week. The prairies are looking remarkable. Have a look at this stuff, guys. There's water everywhere. The Dakotas are as good as you've ever seen them. You layer on top of that some grassland. You got ducks just about in every pothole out there. It's an incredible place to be seeing what's going on. But even though we've got a lot of water in the Dakotas and a lot of birds, we're really concerned because a lot of those wetlands that these birds are so dependent on are really in a lot of jeopardy right now. They're getting put to the plow, and it's a real big problem.
Yeah, I heard Dr. Wentz say 2 weeks ago at the Finance Committee there was so much water in the Dakotas that sea ducks were observed nesting there.
Yeah, what I heard is the pond count in North Dakota, 1. Yeah.
Well, seeing all the floods this spring and knowing how important wetlands are to minimizing floods, it really makes you appreciate the wetlands we have left and want to conserve them even more. I don't know about you, but frankly, I think it's frightening how many wetlands are unprotected with the Clean Water Act right now.
Hey, one more thing quick, Don. A rule I forgot to tell you guys about is all this years of experience now. I know how bad luck cameras in the blind are, so don't bring this camera again, all right?
Well, I'll have to buy another one.
You'll know next time.
I remember being with you in Argentina and losing one, too. That
Yeah,
was
exactly.
stomped in the bottom of the blind,
Yeah,
but
stomped
he's got bad luck with
Yeah,
cameras.
he can buy a new one.
Yeah, but
Getting back to the flooding, Don, those are some good shots, but I assume that those floods really must have done some damage.
Well, they did, and what happens when you drain wetlands, that water gets channelized into the rivers, like the Red River, and we saw that big problems in North Dakota and up into Manitoba this year. It's a real big issue. Wetlands aren't there to hold back those floods.
Well, that's true.
well, I know we've lost probably, I think in the Dakotas and Montana last year was something like 480,000 acres of CRP, and I know right now the people, the DU people in Washington are really engaged in trying to get the Clean Water Restoration Act passed, and I'm really glad to see that. We had more than 20 million wetland acres at risk up there in the prairie potholes. 96% of the prairie potholes at risk because of those 2 Supreme Court decisions. And I'm going to tell you, the loss of those acres of CRP is just a scary statistic for waterfowlers. So,
Yeah, well, we agree, and there's a lot to be concerned about. We're obviously focused as duck hunters on numbers of ducks in the prairies, but also those wetlands really provide benefits to a lot of people for drinking water and brushing your teeth and filling your coffee pot. It's an issue, as we heard Pete Coors talk about this morning, water is really the big issue of the century.
I think they use some of it when they make beer, too, don't they?
A little bit.
Yeah, good.
Well, it seems to me like, guys, if I got this straight, is that we're really at a crossroads. We save these native prairies, the best breeding waterfowl habitat on the planet, or we let them disappear right before our eyes on our watch.
Well, that's right, and that's why last summer Dr. Alan Wentz and I were sitting around in the office and talking about this opportunity to make a difference. We have an obligation as this leading conservation organization to protect the best of the best, and really that duck factory up in the Dakotas and up in the prairies of Canada really is the essence of the best breeding habitat for ducks in the world. And we've got a great program to protect it. Under Rescue the Duck Factory, we're trying to raise money, about $120 million in total, and that's going to help deal the backlog of several hundred ranchers that are out there want to enroll 300,000 acres of that native prairie into the grassland protection program, and all we need is the money. We're making some early progress, but it's a really focus of the organization.
And that's exactly what I hope to do as president. Let there be no doubt these are tough times, but every challenge also creates an opportunity. I think it was Thomas Edison who said opportunities are often missed because they're dressed in overalls and look like work. Well, I don't know about overalls, but I know a lot of volunteers out there who dress up in camo and they're ready to go to work. It'll be an honor for me to lead DU in that work, and you better believe I'll be out there in camo too, working my tail off with everybody else. It's just too important not to.
Amen.
You're absolutely right, John. You know, it's our responsibility as soon me past leaders and future leaders. It's up to us to ensure that our hunting heritage and the wetlands are preserved, and so that these things don't disappear on our watch.
Well, Jim, that's what keeps me committed every day. I've got a couple grandchildren here with me, right out here on the front row, and I want them to have that same opportunity to watch a flock of mallards cupped and committed and coming in. And I know 2 weeks ago when I was in Memphis at the Finance Committee, my 3-year-old granddaughter Lauren took out her own personal Will Primos call, and we called in a flock of mallards, I'm going to say. I think they were mallards. They were all white.
Not smiling mallards.
And
They were all white.
I'll tell you something, too. There was one of them there, Mark. I don't know that you've ever seen a duck like that. He had a lot of feathers on top of his head. It sort of looked like a toupee, and being that close to Memphis, my daughter-in-law suggested it may be Elvis.
But you know, the grandkids are great. You know, they just getting them out there, getting their feet stuck in the mud, falling down, which they think is pretty much fun. When they get home, their mother doesn't think so, but that's what grandkids are for. But you know, they fooling around, and pretty soon there's teal in the decoys, and blam blam, and 10 teal came in, and 10 teal go out. But it's still it's still a good
Still
time.
fun.
Well, you know, that's really what separates duck hunting from a lot of the other hunting sports, the kind of camaraderie we're having here in the blind this morning, the multi-generational dimensions of it, and I can't think of a better thing to do than spend time with my boys in the blind. And we always have an obligation as an organization to make sure that we conserve that hunting heritage and protect that habitat so the birds will be there for many generations to come.
Yep. Well said, guys. I mean, we should have had the TV crew here this morning. You guys are good. This is impressive, don't you think? Huh? You guys are good. Well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking is that I think the honey hole is not going to produce till a little later this morning. So I think we head back to the lodge, think about biscuits and gravy. I got some old DU TV videos I want to show you guys for a couple, 3-4 hours maybe we could watch together.
Sounds like nap time to me.
As long as Jared Brown's not in them.
Well, it's 5 o'clock someplace. You ought to have some cold quarters somewhere around,
Yeah,
don't you?
I'm good with that.
Pete's back there looking after us.
Okay, well, good.
Let's head back
go.
to the lodge.
All right.
Good guy.